First of all, welcome everyone to Baltimore REIA's main event webinar here in August 17th. Welcome to our guests, Lisa Hancock from MarketPro, Fred Milito from 212 Mortgage, and of course, Bob Brendel from Stonegate Title, etc. Right, Bob? We're glad everyone is here. We're going to have a few announcements before we get started. And as I always remind people, as we always say, there's no better time to join Baltimore REIA than now, because the annual membership is $97. That's it for a whole year. You get all the benefits. You get access to all recordings of all our webinars since the pandemic started. Remember that? and many other items. So you get reduced savings for events, etc. So just go to baltimorerea.com under join now and join. We'd love to have you. In addition, if you did not get a text of tonight's webinar, that can be changed easily, because all you have to do is text REIA to 21000. Again, text REIA to 21000, and you'll start getting texts of all our events. Very handy reminder. So I want to remind people about some of our upcoming events that are exciting, to say the least. First of all, for the landlords and property owners on board tonight, next Wednesday evening, we have our monthly landlord rental property owner webinar. We have a special guest, Scott Gottfried. He's the Vice President of Housing and Senior Program Officer for the United Way of Central Maryland. Scott got a hold of me a couple of weeks ago, and he says, Joe, we have several $1 million in emergency rental assistance available that we have to spend by the end of September. So if you're like some of the tenants that I have, if you have tenants like some of the tenants I have that haven't been paying, well, now's the time to get some of that taken care of through this emergency rental assistance program. So it's this next Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Look for the emails, and certainly you don't want to miss it. Next, on September 7th, we have our monthly swim webinar, our Savvy Women's Investors meeting. That's on Wednesday, September 7th, right, at 7 p.m. Then a week later, we're going to have our in-person meeting networking event at Carrabba's Restaurant, where we call it Carrabba's Grill. That's at Belair Road and the Beltway there in the shopping center. That's on the 14th at 7 p.m. Excuse me, 6 p.m., 6 to 8:30 p.m. So stop on by. We love to, see you, shake your hand, and talk some business or talk whatever you want to talk about. That's our in-person networking meeting. Then a week later, on September 21st, we have none other than Janet Tompkins, the real estate diva, that's going to be online to tell you what she's into and how she's doing it. She's the real estate diva because she buys rental properties like they say some women buy shoes. So that's on Wednesday evening, September 21st. And then, heads up, an early heads up, on October 1st, Saturday, is her famous one and only rental cash machine class. That's on actually Saturday, October 1st already. So that's an all-day class. So giving you a heads up, because if you haven't taken this extremely important class, you need to consider doing it. So having said all that, David, did I miss anything? By the way, David Page, our Director of Marketing, is with us as always.
Hi, everybody. No, you did not. That's great. Yes, it's for $97 a year. That's the best deal in real estate I know of. So, folks, I'm going to be in the background looking for your questions. If you have questions for our presenters, please type them in the question box that you can access by expanding your little control panel in the upper right, and you'll see where to type questions. And I'll just keep my eyes on them. If it's something I can answer, I will. But if not, we'll ask our presenters, and partake of their expertise. So I'm delighted all three presenters are here. This is great. And I'll be in the background.
Okay, we're going to start with Lisa Hancock of MarketPro Homes. Welcome again, Lisa. I just made you presenter, so if you'd like, you could share your screen.
Okay, sounds good. I'm going to attempt to show a small PowerPoint that our marketing team made to show you guys, just to kind of go a little bit about who MarketPro is and what we're doing, and obviously where we think this market's going. So hopefully I'll be able to share my screen without too much difficulties, but let's see.
All right, and I'm going to be in the background, so I'll be here.
Oops, okay, so here we are.
There you go.
So there we go. So great to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me, and I'm very excited to talk about the state of the market as it is right now. So let's just move on. So we are back in Baltimore. I would like to tell you a little bit about MarketPro. We did really ramp up our marketing in December 2021. We did change up our, what our goals were when the pandemic hit, just as everybody else did. And we took a lot of our marketing dollars and put them into another territory where at the time we thought we could get more cash buyers. But when we started looking at our goals for 2023, as MarketPro is a very goal-oriented company, the owner, who is also from Baltimore, decided that we were going to really ramp up our business. And we have gone into the city and we've gone into the county, and it has actually been very successful. Just to tell you about how we started, because I am an investor still, and MarketPro, our small team, which used to be about 6 people, also started off as a small group. We flipped houses in 2012 to 2017. Our office was in Rockville, but we flipped anywhere, 1 hour outside of our office space. We did a lot of deals in Baltimore. So we know that area very well. And I think it also gives us a good insight into what investors are looking for and how I can best help them. I was actually a project manager, so I've written about 250 scope of works because I didn't write all of them. And I flip on the side with my kids, just as a side note. So, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my last flip that just sold last week. I do think that the philosophy of our Dispo team is people helping people. I mean, we're all in business because we have one person who's in a distressed situation, and that's the seller. And so by making it a good situation for them, and we find a buyer, because that's what we do as wholesalers, and we always look for the best buyer, we're helping everybody as in full circle. And one of my strong points is I really like to help investors, whether you're seasoned or whether you're brand new. We do as much as we can to help you be successful. I have a list of contractors, I just like to bend over backwards for all my investors. So as the market changes, and as you just heard a little bit about us, like MarketPro has pivoted. We started off flipping houses, and in around 2017, when the market dried up for us for flipping, there was no more houses on the market, we started to wholesale. When the pandemic hit, we took a big look at our, what we were doing and where our goals were and where our marketing was, and decided to change it up a little bit. And, very successful year for hopefully everybody. We decided to come back into Baltimore and be a strong presence in this area. So hopefully we can do some deals together. So let's talk a little bit about the state of the market. I did actually, I'm not sure if you can see me or not, but I did do some really good information seeking, because I wanted to give you guys the best information that I possibly have. So we are in the Mid-Atlantic territory. I pulled my information from Bright MLS. They actually, record all the sales of the transactions in this area. So I feel it's a pretty good place of information. So first of all, housing market activity is expected to continue to slow through the second half of 2022, right? It is going to slow down. We all have seen it. We all know that. But adjustments to sales and price growth will put market conditionings more in line with pre-COVID trends. So, I hate to say it, but my screen right there says it. The party may be over. We may not be getting 25 showings on that first weekend, but it's not over. As far as Baltimore, I actually really honed into the results. So for July 2022, the average sales price in Baltimore specifically is $369,450. I know that doesn't, it is all over the whole Baltimore County for July 22nd. And that is a 5.3% increase over July 2021. That's also higher than the whole Mid-Atlantic, which is all the way from Pennsylvania, Northern Virginia, Eastern Shore, including the DMV and Baltimore. So I think that that's a pretty good sign. Prices are still rising, but the price growth has slowed. That's just some of my points as far as, what I can say, bringing out numbers, predictions, suggestions. It's hard to say what's going to happen. My suggestions are, yes, the market is changing and it is going to slow to pre-pandemic conditions. The party may be over, but there's still a lot of solid deals. So find an area that you know and you're comfortable with and stay the course. I think that's pretty much the play. I'd like to give you an example of just something that happened to me. I purchased a house from MarketPro. I like to flip quick and easy houses. It's in an area I know. It was in Gaithersburg. It was just a 2-story townhouse. The biggest and the best thing about it was in a very good school district. So just for example, in the height of what everybody thought was, the market has tanked and the rates are up, I listed a property on July 14th. I went under contract in 7 days, and this was just an average flip. It sold, it went under contract on the 20th, sold August 10th, and it went 6K over ask. So I give this to you guys, as an investor, a long-term investor, but with some hope that, that the market is still good and there's still good deals to be had out there. And, hopefully I can help you with that. So just a little bit more things about what is the play. Do your due diligence when researching a deal. Be familiar with the area, make sure the comps are solid, and reflective to the market. Don't be looking at something that's really high. Keep a good eye of what's been happening or trending in the past 6 months. Work with a reputable wholesaler who's going to deliver a property with a clean deed and title, vacant, no outstanding bills or fees, no electric, no over water bills, and set your goals, your new goals accordingly. I think I kind of told you guys, how we pivoted, when things were different. I'm not sure if I'm still sharing my screen or not, or if
Yes,
you can
you are.
actually see me. Okay, can you see me also on there?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. That's kind of my phone number right there. But so, when the market changes, and it always does in real estate, nothing stays stable. There's always a change. You have to be ready, ready for the storm. How are you gonna adjust? What are your goals gonna be? And how you're gonna weather this change. So like I said, set your goals accordingly. And for the last thing I'd like to say, I have a motto that I've said for years and years, and I like to say it all the time. And it's really, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough, right? So I'm here to help. If you want to continue investing, if you're looking in the Baltimore area, I hopefully will have a surplus of deals. I'll do my best to give you all the information that I can so that you make a good purchase and end up with a solid investment.
Great. Lisa, thank you. I wanted to ask you, and of course, Fred and Bob as well. It seems that the inventory is still low. And at least in the zip codes that I look in, and we just had a rehab put on the market in 21234, which is a popular zip code. It's a good zip code. And we put it on like on a Friday morning, and we had, I think, 7 immediate showings and 3 or 4 contracts listed at 349, and we signed a contract for 370. So that's in that zip code in that area. I'm just wondering what everybody's thoughts are as far as other areas of Baltimore City and Baltimore County, if they're still seeing the low inventory, because in my mind, according to the old law of supply and demand, that low inventory is going to dictate a lot as far as prices and what's going on. I do agree with you that fever as far as people rushing out looking at properties, that's died off somewhat, but I don't see anything as far as prices are because of that low inventory. So I'd like to get your thoughts on that, and also Fred and Bob's as well.
Okay, well, I have some numbers. So for July 2022, the supply was in Baltimore Metro was actually down 5.7%. So you're correct, right? It's still, inventory is still down, and that's in comparison to last year. And the average days on market in Baltimore has only risen 1 day, and the average to sold is 7 days. So showings has dropped, but the supply is still low. So even more reason to pick up a good flip to present a good property that somebody's going to want to purchase.
Yeah, and of course, what we always hear from our fellow investors that it's still difficult finding good deals. Okay, Fred. So, what's your crystal ball saying these days?
All right. Well, to dive right in to answer the question that was just posed about where we think things are headed, I'm going to show a quick slide. But
okay, let me. I'm going to make you the presenter here, so you're able to do that.
Okay.
Oops.
Let me know when I'm able to share my screen.
Okay, you're able to show your screen now.
Okay, let me see. What do you guys see? Anything yet?
I see your desktop with the cream
Okay.
snow on it.
How about that? See that?
Yep.
Okay, let's take a second to really read this. Now, this came out on the 15th, just 2 days ago from Annapolis. Home sales fell by 27% to about 7,300 homes compared to 10,000 homes the previous year. So because of obviously inflation, because of higher rates and a number of other factors, home sales have fallen by 27%. A lot of that has to do to affordability and people starting to kind of cool their jets a little bit when it comes to jumping and buying homes sight unseen and offering 50,000 above ask just as a starting bid. If we continue to read down here, it says prices continue to rise with the average sales price growing 6%. So although home sales fell, home prices ticked up about 6%.
Hey, Fred, is that for the whole state of Maryland?
It's so funny you asked that. Yeah, it's from Craig Wolf from the Maryland Realtor Association. So yeah, it's for the state of Maryland.
Okay.
The second paragraph is kind of interesting too, because it talks to you about the inventory shortage that we're all seeing. And we've all been talking about this for months. There's not enough good homes on the market. Pre-pandemic, you had a good 3-4 months of housing supply on the market. now you have about 1 to maybe 1.5 months of housing supply in the market. So housing is still in demand, and there is a shortage of housing. As a matter of fact, 2 months ago, I was at a charitable golfing event, and I was golfing with this gentleman who was a senior VP over at K. Hovinian Homes. And I just looked at him and I said, hey, this market's going crazy. What are you doing? And he just looked at me and he said, buddy, we got 10,000 lots that we haven't even broken ground on yet. So they will sell every one of those homes.
Yeah.
And that's what he said to me towards the end of the round. So let's look here. July had a 25% drop in new listings. I know that kind of reverberates a little bit with everybody here because inventory has slowed. People are a little bit more leery of putting their house on the market. There just isn't a lot because, again, where are they going to go? They're going to go to Florida. That's experienced a 50%, a home appreciation in the past year and a half. Wherever they go, unless they're downsizing to buy a retirement home somewhere, smaller, chances are they're going to be spending more. Now, even though there was a 25% drop in new listings, the Baltimore metro market dropped about 27%. So there's a lot of statistics here. There's a lot of numbers, but I said it in a presentation today. We as investors have to extrapolate the difference between information and knowledge. You need to derive information from everything you see, whether it's on the TV, a news program, an article, a blog online. Take all that info in, but analyze it and convert it into knowledge so that you can go out and look at those zip codes that you're looking at. Look at that price point that you're looking at. Look at the strategy as to why you're buying this investment property. Is it a buy and hold? Is it a fix and flip? What is it? And utilize some of this information and turn it into knowledge to help guide you through that path. I'll leave you with this on the end here. It says this market is more than just about mortgage rates, because realistically, that carrot that was dangled in front of us for 2 or 3 years with rates in the 2s and 3s, that was a gift that God sent, a fairy godmother, call it whatever you want. The bottom line is it was unrealistic and unsustainable. Now that rates are in the 5s, oh my God, did I say 5s? Yes, they're in the 5s. I'm not even going to go as far as saying historically, because I hear stories, oh, in 1987, when I bought my home, you know what? It's not 1987 anymore. But realistically, over the past couple of years, the last 5 to 10 years, a rate in the 5s is still a pretty darn good rate. That'll lead me into my next topic here. But really what it's saying is, mortgage rates have shot up, home prices have shot up, inflation has shot up. So borrowers cannot afford to buy those homes at those elevated prices that they are, which in turn is going to bring us to a more normal market trend. Again, guys like you, Joe, and Dave, and Bob, Lisa, and a lot of the other investors out there, you've been through certain cycles. You've been through, 90, 92, 98 to 2000, 2005 to 2007, 10 to 12. We've been there. We've been through 20 and 21. So this is just a circulation back to normalization.
Yeah, Fred, you're saying rates are in the 5s. I'm assuming you're talking about homeowner
I'm
rates.
talking about conventional 30-year fixed rates. Yeah.
What about for the investors here on the call with us? What are rates looking at like for them?
So the short answer, 7s.
7.
Short answer. Let me just elaborate on it a little bit. These DSCR loans that we've been doing for years, debt service coverage ratio, just a fancy way to say, hey, I'm not going to verify the investor's income with personal tax returns, pay stubs, and W-2s. I'm going to go on the property. Can the cash flow cover the PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance? If your PITI is $700 a month and you got this place rented for $750, it's a done deal. It cash flows as far as the bank is concerned. You, of course, might want a little more cash flow than that, but it does cash flow. Those rates were offered in the 5s through 20, through 21. because regular conventional rates, again, were in the upper 2s, low 3s. They were always meant to be a short-term fix, meaning a lot of these not real estate investors, a lot of these bank investors, guys with funds that were pulling money into the Sprout mortgages of the world and the Home Express and Redstone Mortgage that were prominent in doing a lot of these debt service cash flow loans, were saying, wow, the market's only bearing 2 or 3%. If we can make 5 or 6% on our money, let's do it. It's going to be short term, because the mentality has always been, we're going to use this money to get in, and then in a year or two, clients are going to either fix it and flip it, or they're going to refinance it into a more conventional rate. But now, with 30-year fixed rates in the 5s, a 200 basis point increase, those investor rates have gone from the mid 5s to the mid 7s. So now here you are, an investor that did a DSCR loan in 2020, 2021, you're scratching your head saying, why? Why would I want to refinance this into another DSCR at 7 and change percent? At best, I'm going to get 5s again. So what's happening is those loans are not being refinanced enough. Any private investor knows if your hard money borrower is not refinancing, you are not getting repaid. If you're not getting repaid, you can't put money back on the street. That's what's ended up happening. That's why you see Sprout Mortgage closed its doors, and a couple of other lenders have followed suit because of that. So bottom line is, in a nutshell, those rates are in the 7s. I do want to share one last thing with you. It's literally a minute. This is kind of cool. I like this lady. I don't know, maybe she's from Baltimore. Who knows? Noni, any way you slice it, whether it's an Italian nonna or noni or grandma or whatever, the best non-owner product in America. Noni stands for non-owner occupied, no income. Non-owner, no income. It is a tool that I've been using a lot. It's for first-time investors. So guys out there that are thinking about getting their first, flip or their first rent-to-own, look at this, guys. You don't need a job. You don't need any income. You don't need reserves, and you don't need any experience. What do you need? You need a 680 credit score. Naturally, you can't have any collections, judgments, bankruptcy, or anything like that. And the property has to cash flow. Qualify with property rental income. And you'll get an 80% LTV on a purchase or a refi. This is the product. This is just a fancy ad for DSCR, because that's really what a DSCR is. I'm taking your loan application, guys and gals, but I'm not putting anything down for employment or for incomes or any of your bank account reserves. And I'm not putting any of your prior experience if you don't have any. As long as you got a 680 score, 20% down, as long as the property can cash flow. Rates on this are probably 7.5 to maybe 8. I'd say 7.5 right now, because they did get a little price adjustment lower. 30-year fixed, no prepay, 2 points. This is the product that I've used about 4 times. Huh?
People are saying, including me, we can't see the screen. If you think you're showing us something, we can't see it.
You're killing me.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second.
I blame Joe.
My fault. Okay. There you go.
Yay, there you are.
There you go. Okay, so there's the Baltimore grandmother. See her right there?
There she is.
All right, now you get it. Noni, non-owner, no income. It's basically the debt service cash flow loan that I've used. It's for first-time investors. You don't need a job, you don't need income, you don't need any reserves, and you don't need any experience. What you do need is you need a property that's going to cash flow. You need a 680 credit score, and you need to put 20% down. Now this serves for a purchase, and it also serves as a refi. So it's a terrific program. I probably used it 40, 50 times last year to, number one, get investors into properties. Number two, get investors out of hard money or private money that they use to acquire the property. And guys, I'll tell you to this day, tried and true, your best way to do this, if you're in a competitive situation and you got to make a quick move, use one of the Baltimore REIA long-standing investors. They will give you the money if you qualify, on a private basis. You can get into the property, you can fix it up, you can get it rented, and then you come to me and I refinance you out. What does that do? That gets your lender paid back, so he's very happy with you. So he'll lend to you again on the next one. And then you can continue to obviously stretch this out to a 30-year fixed, do principal and interest unless you want interest only, and cut yourself a break on the rate and on the monthly outlay. So that's really what I had. I just wanted to share my thoughts on that.
Okay. So before we continue on, I want to welcome those who have joined us, since we started at 7, and just let everyone know that with us is Lisa Hancock from MarketPro Homes, Fred Militello from 212 Mortgage, and Professor Bob Brendel from Stonegate Title, Remax Realty as well. Also, for those that just came on, we don't miss next Wednesday evening's landlord webinar. It's about several $1 million in emergency rental assistance that has to be given away. So you can't miss next Wednesday evening's webinar, our landlord webinar. Then a week later, we're going to have a privy presentation on finding properties creatively using privy. Then on September 7th, we have our swim meeting, Savvy Women's Investors meeting. Then on September 14th, we have our live in-person networking meeting at Carrabba's Grill, Blair Road in the Beltway. A week later, we have the real estate diva herself, Janet Tompkins. And then on October 1st, we're going to have the special one-day class of Janet's, the real estate rental cash machine class, the well-known class that a lot of our members have taken and benefited from. So, okay, let's continue on. Our next speaker will be Bob Brendel. Take it away, Bob.
Joe, thank you very much. And guys, it's a real pleasure to appear before that of the Investor Club. I was thinking back while listening to the other two speakers that back in 1991 was my first exposure to that of the club, and it's gone strong and grown ever since, and it's weathered pandemics and the like. So it's an incredible group to have been for. So if you've only been associated for 5 or 10 years, you're still a newcomer, and there's even better things to come.
That's right.
And Joe, I guess you've been there from the inception as well, so I have to compliment yourself with regards to your longevity. What's it been, about 40 or 50 years now?
It feels longer than that sometimes.
Okay, well, you look good for 102. I just want to offer that.
That's it, man. I take those vitamins every day,
That plays out. Real estate gets into your bloodstream and then you just can't get it out. It's a disease, that's for sure.
Yep.
But guys, thank you very much. I appreciate standing alongside of that of my co-conspirators here with regards to that of how we see the marketplace. It's funny because I think that, and I don't know if this can be seen, but I think the folks who've gone before me have taken some of the information. We all went to a similar source with regards to Reliance because it was so handy, it was factual, and it was so clear to that of the marketplace to which we deal within. So, we all had to point it in the right direction, if you will. With Joe's permission, I'm going to ask to be able to throw up on the audience now. We've all come about with regards to information here today, so don't sit in the splash zone with regards to that of what we have. I'm going to try not to speak to that of information associated with what I feel is the product or the result in the marketplace, and that is what has happened to real estate, whether it's climbed, whether it's grown, whether it's become limited, but rather those causes, those happenings, those purposes that occurred that then created that of the dynamics and the statistics which we've spoken about so far tonight. So just to go through a few of those little areas. I'm also going to look at it because I like to pair not just that of the residential, but also the commercial market. I always feel that the residential market does have some, if not a greater amount, of that of emotion in it, which drives that of sales that are a little more difficult to try to break down into that of algorithms and neat little piles. Folks who are, folks who have been in the commercial industry for a period of time, you know, they buy real estate simply because it either works or it doesn't work, certainly. And these include that of the investors for scattered lots that we're speaking of tonight, as well as those who buy the shopping centers and the tall buildings, those who buy the malls, and those who regret having bought the malls recently. So let's talk about a few factors that we can all kind of give some consideration to here. You know, with regards to where we are right now, I encourage everyone to not get brain overload or don't overthink that of the marketplace. You know, I have a good friend who oftentimes quotes me that of statistics. He says, "Bob, what are we going to do?" And frankly, half the time my response is, I'm not doing anything because I can't control those factors that you spoke about. I'm going to control that within my environment that I can, that I do have a steering wheel at least to allow myself to deal with. Yeah, we've had some statistics here. Pending home sales have fallen for 6 straight months now, below 2019 standards. You know, it's not straightforward. There's no lack of jobs, but there's lack of workers is what we have. I think a neat little statistic that I've unearthed is that for every 2 job openings, for every 1 unemployed worker. So next time you meet an unemployed worker, help them to go get to the job because there's 2 people who want to employ them and make them part of the economy. Wages are recently up 5.5% in the last year. Now, these weren't, I feel, those types of increases that you get when you get a raise because you did a good job, but rather if you don't give me that money, my employer, the new employer down the street will. So it's more of a forced function of actually increasing that of wages. And how does that affect the marketplace otherwise? A statistic that I came about was that the average nationwide hourly wage is $32 per hour. That's darn good. I was surprised with regards to it. Now, keep in mind, I realize that's California wages, Denver wages, as well as that of what's around here. You know, Lisa stated earlier, and I love that that sentiment, that we're in a stable market here that we're able to rely upon. We have the greater ability to manipulate real estate and still have, I'll call it a cushion based upon that of the consumer base that we have for those who are W-2 employed. And I love that. We should capitalize on that. Inflation, I would say inflation's up 8% from what I've seen and how I gather the statistics. Does that harm us? Well, certainly it makes a 2x4 more expensive, certainly. But at the same time, we've seen it's not deterred that of the marketplace otherwise with regards to a final product. As for commercial itself, I just want to talk about a few little tidbits that we have here. Of course, as everyone absolutely knows, demand for apartments and single families is booming, as low vacancy rates have pushed rents significant. The thing that I find remarkable is demand for things such as small warehouse spaces has surged. When you had a 2,000 square foot empty building, a vanilla box, nobody wanted to, they say, what am I going to do with this? I have nothing because there's no infrastructure within that of the building itself. It's just that of a side of the walls and the ceiling. Now, however, we have those who have experienced that of supply chain disruption needing to hoard products so that they can continue to supply that of their customer base. So all those empty warehouses are now being used for just-in-time delivery of that of product. So we're amassing everything that we can that we don't want to run out on, and that our suppliers are telling us we're already short on, and putting it in these warehouses, and then being able to then do some arbitrage. Arbitrage being buy low, sell high, whether it's tomato sauce, pizza rounds, or anything else you might have. If the consumer needs it, wants it, and will pay a greater price for it, we can use that. So the new stock is that of digestibles, we'll call it. So you can quote me on that. Consumer spending, I've read the fact that it's up 3.1%. I disagree with the fact that I offer you here. It's not 3.1% that we're spending more on. I feel it's greater than that. Rather, it is the 3.1% is part of the greater amount of the inflation of the 8% that has impacted the pricing schedule. So we're buying less. Maybe we're buying 95% of what we used to buy, but we're paying 103% for it. So some of these numbers are, I won't say less than accurate, but I'll say that they leave us with a greater sense of calm than what they should. At the same time, that of equity with regards to property, specifically our principal residences, wealth accumulation. The facts state that in the past 2 years nationally, that of the average homeowner has gone up literally $65,000 with regards to value of their home. In the past 5 years, they've gained $155,000 collectively. These are huge numbers. And, you know, people like Fred, I have to ask him, where is that going? Where is that money going to go? Are they going to draw that out? Is there going to be that of a cash out refinance boom that we're going to see yet, notwithstanding that of the rates and the pricing? Or are they going to do the diligent thing and sock it away for that of the rainy day?
They're going to take cash out and buy investment properties.
As they should.
Rental, right?
So there's no doubt there. So, and discussing a little bit with regards, so I just wanted to spend a moment with regards to flipping as well. You know, I think that the path that we take is to stay the course, once again, mimicking what Lisa had reverberated when she first started, that of her presentation. You know, we don't look for low-cost housing, but we look for neglected properties in great neighborhoods. You know, if you stay away from that of the irritants, simply, I find, those such as if you buy a house on a busy street and you put up a fence, you still have a house on a busy street. If you buy a house in a great neighborhood with things that can be fixed, then you've got yourself certainly a product that makes sense and you're going to make some money off of it. Same thing with cheap labor, same thing with a number of other common sense approaches, I'll say, which you need to apply for that of your ongoing flipping efforts. Just one or two more thoughts associated with this. You know, I wanted to remind everybody about the three marketplaces, I'll say, of those of our home buyers. Those being the millennials, the Gen X's, and the baby boomers. I can spend just a minute on these because we can't lose sight of just how we appeal to this marketplace and how it ultimately will reward us. You know, keep in mind the millennials, which were born between 81 and 96, are the largest segment of our housing market. 9 out of 10 of them are first-time home buyers. So if you, that of your agent, don't have that of a grand command on that of the down payment assistance programs, on the live where you work programs, on that of the sponsorships of by employers, by neighborhoods, and by that of the state of Maryland itself to propel that of purchases, certainly, then you're doing yourself a disservice because you're stepping over those who are prime candidates in the first place, willing and wanting to buy your properties. You know, but this group also is starting out, you know, everybody starts out at a standstill with regards to a race. So as they look up and they take their first step, they're going to need that of the education associated with it. So purchasers should be just that. Not purchasers, sellers should be just that, educators. Not just to sell them a house, but help them to understand why their house is exceptional with regards to the marketplace. Because once again, they know what they've been told, and that's been a very limited exposure to that of the real estate marketplace. Continuing on, of course, needless to say, reaching them is through social posts and blogs and websites and that of the internet. Gen X's who became viable between 65 and 80, they call them the sandwich generation. It's a much smaller group of people, but they're strapped between that of their children who are looking for assistance still. They may have left and come back, as well as the parents who haven't left and come back, but they disassociated themselves between parent and child, but now they're living longer, so they're needing that of the assistance. So things that we look at to create your own opportunities, 15% of that marketplace right now, when they go out to buy a house, they're looking to accommodate either a parent or a child, an adult child, in that of the house. So you may like your relatives, but you don't like them that much. So things such as ADUs, accessible dwelling units, which has been a big topic with regards to that of the state of Maryland, and trying to create greater flexibility with regards to legislation and allow that so that people can age in place with regards to them. So once again, they can be taken care of, but they're not sitting next to each other on the sofa every night grumbling about who made the last noise that came out of which orifice. Finally, that not everybody got that one. I know. I'll work on my punchlines. They are in the peak earning period, so they have more cash to spend associated with the purchase and the greater ability to, once again, fortunately or unfortunately, assist those. Either it's the children who are the adult child, maybe it's the one hopefully not living in the basement at age 30 playing video games, but hopefully it's more of the parent that we owe the obligation to continue to take care of them, but at the same time have a degree of separation with our lives as well, or our lifestyle. Finally, the baby boomers, born 1946 to 1964. These are folks like myself. We consider ourselves forever young. Don't call us senior citizens because we're never going to be that. We're going to look to age in place. We want those communities where there's pickleball and things that we do which are active. And if we can't overcome that of getting out of bed every morning for a job, then we're going to do it because we know it's healthy for us to do what we need to do at the gym. So we're going to find our way into these type of facilities. We may be downsizing, we may be upsizing. We may finally buy that waterfront house that we always wanted, didn't need, but now has the trophy with regards to it. So they're a fickle group, but they're also ones who have the discretionary cash to be able to spend that because it's now or never. The one thing that I felt influenced out of the baby boomers the most, I saw as being part of that, when COVID hit, or just prior to COVID, we all sat on the sidelines with regards to vacation homes. We said, well, we'll wait for a little bit of a downturn in the market. Then when we do, we'll rush in and we'll get a good deal on the purchase. Well, COVID hit, of course, and then what happened? That of the vacation homes, everybody rushed in to get that vacation home because they realized that there was the stigma of we may not actually live forever. And so we keep waiting on this great price on this property. So that skyrocketed that of vacation or second homes easily 40%. Fuel that with that of the effectiveness of Airbnbs and VRBO platforms with regards to gave a hungry force to not only having bragging rights for that of beautiful second homes, but also income generators as well. So they were doing a whole lot right. And we have the ability now to feed those markets that continue on for these folks who are looking out there for these types of properties. Right now, at least 17% of these folks already have at least an income producing property or that of a vacation home, and they're looking to add to that. So, it's an easy market because they have the cash, they have the wherewithal, they have the credit They're just looking for you to hand them a property that's going to be their, possibly their swan song, but certainly that of their trophy event. Guys, back to you.
Great. Well, that was a lot to take in there, Bob, and a lot of wisdom there as well.
Why you pay him the big bucks?
So David, I think we have some questions.
Yes, we do. Hi, folks. I'm showing myself because I'll be talking to you a little bit with questions. But first, I actually have a couple of observations and I have a question. So I'm going to sneak mine in. Bob, I thought your inventory comment was very interesting. I've heard people say now it's not just in time inventory, it's just in case inventory. They're stocking up on this stuff just in case they need it, right? Because it used to be you could count on just in time. Well, you can't anymore. So people are I have my general contractor bought a semi trailer full of drywall, or they got to put it somewhere. Okay, Joe, you talked about how your house sold, got a lot of showings and a lot of contracts quickly, even in this environment. It's because you do a good rehab, Joe.
Well, thank you.
And so you're welcome. And we know other Catherine in Swim does great rehabs too. And I'm doing a rehab now that I hope will be of proper quality. But I must say, on my rehab, I really tried to keep it at a price point. I'm trying for a price point at $299.9. I'm thinking that'll be attractive to first-time buyers, even if they're paying 5 or 6%. Bob, good point about all these programs that they can take advantage of. But here's my question. When Robin Thompson came to town, she was saying, in her opinion, during the big crash, everybody's activity was shut down briefly, forever. I mean, totally shut down. But then when it recovered, that the first-time home buyer market came back, was stronger than the second-time home buyer, because the second-time home buyer can say, this is not a good time to buy. I am going to sit this out. As versus the first-time home buyer, I want my first home. I need my first home. I have to get out of this crappy neighborhood. I have to get out of this apartment. And her thought was that as we enter a tighter market, the same thing may happen. Do you folks have any opinion on whether you think, for us flippers, that we have a better shot targeting the first-time home buyer than the second-time home buyer that might have the discretion to stay where they are? That's my question. What do you think?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Fred.
I was just going to say the first time home buyer, yes, and I'll tell you why. Rents. People's rent has gone from 12 to 14 to 16. I had a woman literally crying on the phone with me on Saturday that her rent went from like $1,800 to $2,100, and she had no idea how she was going to afford it. She's a single mom with 3 kids, but she makes $64,000 a year. She can afford a $200,000+ house. With a little assistance, she can afford it. And that's a lot of the clients that I'm getting right now are these first-time home buyers that are saying, we're not paying $2,000 a month in rent anymore. We can buy a house for that.
Okay, interesting. Lisa, what do you think?
So in my reading and all this research that I was trying to do before this meetup, there's 2 groupings, for price wise, right? So this middle pricing for purchasing properties, there's an increase. When you go over a certain amount, 400 plus, it's dropping. So generally, when somebody's going to buy their first house, it's not 400, 500, 550. It's usually 250 to 300. And I think that's exactly what's happening. And I know personally it's what happened with, as a first-time home buyer, I was priced approximately right where you are, 300, and they're nervous, right? Because now this is their first attempt of going into this. Oh no, what if the rates go to 8? What if they go to 9? And we're at that price point where new buyers are purchasing. I still think that it's really high.
Okay. And Bob, you made an interesting point about how there are these buyers who are buying the vacation homes. Well, assuming if they're also interested in a second home, they may have cash. Like Lutherville, I just flipped a property, and it was like between 6 and 700,000. So maybe it's like under 3 is good, and over a certain amount where somebody's buying a really nice property is good. And there's this middle, like as Lisa was saying, 400,000 or 500,000 is like, is that a first time home buyer? Is that, if it's a second time home buyer, do they want something better than that? Bob, what do you think?
Well, and guys, let me just go back to just a minute. I want to thank everybody with regards to that of I am broker for Remax Components, which has 4 branches, as well as a practicing attorney. Joe had mentioned that I also have associated with Stonegate. Actually, Stonegate had gone away. We did wind that up a few years ago, and we're actually with MidAtlantic Title. So
Okay.
just for the record, if this is being recorded. Relying upon that information, though, associated with that, you're right. I think that there is a marketplace for we're too big to live in a townhouse anymore. We got too many kids, too much stuff, and we're too involved where we want to buy a house that would come with that of a toothbrush, not a paintbrush. So we can't live in our first-time homebuyer property anymore. We need something that supports that of not just the basic foundations, but all the things that we want to do, not just the things that we need to do within that of the 4 corners of the house. And you described that market of the 4 to 550 range as being very attractive. There's certainly not enough inventory around. Particularly, it's funny, in that of the Lutherville, Timonium area, which I believe has unreasonably driven prices up. For those who are there, like yourself, congratulations, good choice.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So some questions we had from the attendees. Hold on. Let me look. One question, I think this might have been for Fred. Joy asks, how long is your seasoning period post-purchase after rehab to do a refi? So I presume somebody's used borrowed hard money to do this. And now the property's rented. How long does it have to be rented? And I assume it does before you do your DSCR, as you said.
Okay, so short answer, to get the best DSCR program out there, 6 months. 6 months, I can get you cash out based on the current appraised value. Whereas if it's less than 6 months, then I can only base it off of purchase price plus verified improvements.
Okay.
So if you buy a house for 100 and you put 20 into it, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months later, I can lend to you based on $120,000 value. But if the house appraises at 230, I can't give you that LTV on 230. You got to wait 6 months to get it on the current value.
Great information. Okay, that was important to know. Oh, Jessica asked, how should new investors with no rehab experience figure out the price of a rehab project? Good luck. I am experienced, and I'm having challenges because prices of everything is going up. Materials going up, labor's going up. So one thing, if I may be shameless about this, you could look at BaltimoreREIA.com. You could start by taking my rehabbing class. The recorded version thereof is on there. It's only a few $100s. We talk about pricing. And then you say, do you have any general contractor recommendations? Ryan Gamay of R&G Remodeling is one of our preferred partners that you will find if you just go to BaltimoreREIA.com, preferred partners. And that's also the answer to someone was asking how to contact you folks. And feel free to give your phone numbers verbally, but I want you to know, attendees to know, you'll find Fred under 212 Mortgage, and you'll find Lisa Hancock under MarketPro Deals. They are both platinum preferred partners near the top of the list with Baltimore REIA. And Bob, as I guess, is your main Remax office Remax Components? Is that where people would find you if they were like Googling it?
That's one place that I am found on any given day. That's correct.
Okay. And if any of you want to share your phone numbers just verbally now with anybody who's listening, feel free. Oh, Lisa, you had your slide up for a while, but
Yep, well, it has my direct line. I can give you, oh, let's see the line, the number.
card. Look at that.
There you go. There you go.
Woohoo!
See how long I can hold it.
I guess we should all put up. There we go.
There you go. There's Lisa. And Bob, do you want a business card, or you just want people to Google Remax Components?
I'll be right back.
Okay, Bob's getting a business card.
You guys got that?
He's gonna come in with a billboard.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because folks, all these people have great information, and they really know what they're doing. We don't invite people on these webinars lightly, because we want you to have good information.
And we're back.
Yay! Okay, too close.
There
Pull
we
back
go.
a little. Move your thumb. There you go.
5 fingers in there. You like my headshot there?
There you go. There's Bob. Man, you have all kinds of offices. Look at all that, a wealth of information on there. So the simplest, and there's also bobb@remax.net. All right, and there's his cell
That's
number and all.
probably the easiest. Absolutely.
So folks, you now know how to contact all these folks. I know you can contact Lisa, and get on your email list, right, to receive deals.
Yep.
Right.
If you sign up on our website, marketprodeals.com, and put your
Yep.
profile in, and you'll start getting the deals.
And Fred talked about, he's good at refining you out of a hard money loan. And for instance, among our preferred partners, you'll also see Trias Lending. They're hard money. We've had them on the webinars before. You'll also see Scott Freitag of Eastern Savings Bank. He has various programs. So kind of really, we like to say everything you need is at Baltimore REIA, and honestly, it is. The money's there, the expertise is there. And okay, let me see if any more questions popped up while I was yammering. And no, I think that's it. So I'm going to disappear again. And Joe, you want to come back on for the wrap up?
Yeah, let's see. I thought I saw something there. Let's see. Just want to make sure.
Did I miss one?
Okay. I'll see.
Oh, I'm sorry. Tracy asked, thank you, Joe. Fred, on the Noni, what is the minimum loan or minimum property appraised value?
Oh, thank you for asking that question. As much as I would love to help everyone with $30,000, $40,000, and $50,000 loans, most of my lenders are going to require a minimum of about $100,000. The absolute bare bones minimum is 75 grand. The problem with getting those $75,000 loan amounts approved, again, the value. The value may not be there, and the house may be in a little less than acceptable condition for the lender. So that's why we say it should be worth, 100, 125,000 at a minimum, with a loan amount of 75 to 100,000.
You have spurred 2 follow-up questions, Fred. One is from Jessica. Can you refinance out of the Noni loan? I'm not sure why you'd want to. The Noni loan is what you're refinancing into, right?
Well, a lot of times you'll take private money, or hard money as they call it, to get in, and then you're not in a position where you can really refinance conventionally. So we'll do the Noni just to get you away from the hard money, stabilize you, and then if your credit, your income, equity, other facets of your life improve, then yes, you can refinance out of the Noni. So basically you would go from a 10 to 12 or 12 to 14% rate down to a 7% rate, and then pending where rates go, if you can get conventional, you could find yourself down into the 5s.
Gotcha. And she also says, are there any lease requirements? Like, does it have to be a full year's lease or month to month or?
For Noni, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
For the conventional, they would really like to see a minimum 1-year lease, Doesn't mean it had to have been rented for a year. It just means that there needs to be a lease for at least 1 year in place.
Gotcha.
So you could have rented it last month on a 1 year and we're good.
Do you, and Joy asks, do you fund the purchase of a BRRR deal, BRRR deal, or does the property have to be in good condition?
So the answer to that is I do offer a multitude of products, from construction to rehab to fix to rent to fix to flip. I have all those. Those are bank programs that I offer. And yes, we do them. However, as I stated earlier, sometimes your situation or the property may not be exactly what the bank's looking for. And that's why we have a lot of private resources within the group that you can utilize. But the answer is yes, we do them well.
Okay, great. I didn't know that. So I learned something on every webinar. Can a noni be used on a vacation condo purchase?
If you're not gonna be living there.
Okay. And Lori wants to see your contact information again, Fred. Hold up your business card, and everybody else can too if you want. All right, this has been a great webinar.
Okay.
Wait, I think we got one last question.
Fire away.
It says, yes, the condo is for a rental. So Brandon, you should contact Fred.
You're good.
Great. Well, hey, really fine webinar tonight, everyone. Thank you, Lisa, Fred, and Bob, for participating and being with us. We thank you a lot. And we want to remind everyone, next Wednesday evening, we're going to continue it on with the Emergency Rental Assistance Program that I talked about a couple times. And then, of course, just go to our website for all the events that will be listed and watch for the emails. Okay. Anything else, David? Hey, David.
Sorry, there I am. Sorry, I was muted. I just wanted to say, folks, any of you on this webinar, from some of you asking questions, I get the impression you want to be landlords. October 1st, set your calendar, watch your emails. That's Janet's rental class.
There you go. Great.
That's it.
All right. Well, we'll bid everyone a good farewell tonight. Stay well, and we'll see you next Wednesday evening. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Bye, folks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.